I was sick of complaining about it. Stop expecting to be successful if you're not preparing. It's very easy for people to kind of assume, you know, his life must be perfect, must have had a great, childhood and all of these things. I've had to overcome quite a few moments to become where I am and who I am. Stereotypically, I'm supposed to turn out bad, and I think that has been a journey. No, that has been a journey that I've been on for many years. Keep challenging yourself. Keep the suck in a little bit of your day to balance the rest of your life out. You deserve everything you believe you deserve. Yeah. Talking about your emotions is not soft. And I think that's what I want to shift.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Rooted Recovery Stories. I'm Patrick Custer, your host, and so excited to be here with each and every one of you and to be welcoming my extra special guest today. He's not only an actor, but member of one of the world's most famous boy bands and many, many more things. James Maslow, welcome to the show.
What a lovely intro. How you doing, man?
I'm great. And not only welcome to the show, welcome to Nashville.
Thank you. Thank you. I think that might be the first official welcome I've received, so it means that much more.
That's a pretty big honor.
Yeah. 1 week, and I've been snowed in, so it barely feels like I've been here yet. It's one of my first out-of-the-house activities, so even that much more exciting.
Wait, is this your first media thing since you got to town?
Yeah, and I got here a week ago, and I've been just in the house as it's been snowing, which apparently is weird for Nashville, hanging paintings and TVs, man.
Awesome. No pressure. We got to make it good.
All right. I'm here.
Awesome.
Here for it.
So I kind of want to kick off by asking you about why did you choose to make such a big life move to Nashville?
I've been bouncing around for a few years. Anybody who follows me probably keeps wondering, why do I keep moving? And my response to that is, why not? I wasn't very happy in LA. I love Southern California. I grew up in San Diego. I grew up surfing. The weather's tremendous. There's a lot of wonderful things, but LA compared to San Diego just doesn't win, if I'm being honest, not for me at least. And I was sick of complaining about it. Gotta be honest, I was sick of bitching about it and not doing anything. So I'm like, you know what? Why don't I try something else? And one silver lining of the pandemic was everything went remote. Mm-hmm. So whereas I really felt like I had to be in LA to start my career, and I think that's pretty valid and probably true, especially 15 years ago. Now you can upload an audition tape and everybody asks for that. Very rarely do I go in until it's a, real in-person meeting for a screen test or something like that. Same with music. A lot of it can be happening remotely, or I'm flying to Nashville anyways. And so I just say, let me try something else. I tried Vegas, liked aspects of it, a little dry, other aspects I didn't like. Went to Miami, again, loved aspects, and just other aspects didn't feel like they lined up. And I'm hoping that Nashville becomes kind of the best of all these worlds, where I come here to write music anyways. I love the people here. I love how they work, especially in the music scene. You go to a session, you schedule it for like 10 a.m. People are there at 9:45. You write a song by like 3. You actually finish the song and you go home, and I love that. And then you also get the privacy and comfort of having some space and land and country. So this feels like the best of all worlds. I've tried enough places. I'm optimistic that this is gonna be the spot that my girlfriend and I kind of put roots down, and feels good so far.
Yeah, cool. I heard from a little bird that a big theme in your life right now has been kind of seeking like the beginning of a second chapter. How would you describe what's in your heart behind some of that?
It truly feels like a second chapter, maybe a third chapter.
Okay.
I guess it depends on how long these chapters are.
Sure.
But so many things in my life seem to be lining up in a very positive way. A lot of things I've been wanting for myself, my future, my relationship with my girlfriend, with my friends, my family, seem to be lining up and coming to fruition. And I don't think that there was a singular radical shift. I think it has been a culmination and a combination of a lot of shifts over the last few years, where I've fallen out of love with certain things, going out, drinking as much, the life of what I had in my 20s, the friends that were around a lot of that. With respect, some of them are great people, but so many of them have kind of fallen to the wayside as I've stopped doing a lot of those things, which, by the way, is probably the best way to shed yourself of people that don't really care about you. Yeah. And then also show yourself the people that truly do, because they'll stick around regardless. these little changes over time have truly led to me being healthier, more focused, happier. And I think because of a lot of this self-care and care I put into my relationship and emphasis on health, wellness, happiness that I had in my life, but I didn't directly focus on as much. I think because of all of this, the work, the goals, the projects I've been developing have also begun to come to fruition in such an amazing way and such a fast rate that I'm just excited, I'm eager, I'm grateful, I'm energized, and I want to keep more of this going, whatever this is.
Yeah, I love that answer. And I definitely can tell that you've got that energy is just like radiating from you. And so I'm excited to watch and see, what that is, what comes from you next. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But I kind of want to go back just a bit to when in Hollywood, you spent so much of your formative years in the spotlight. Everybody knew who you were. Many or most people probably knew who you were. Acting and part of widely known band. And you talk about the types of relationships that you had at the time that in our 20s, many of us, and I won't put words in your mouth, but would probably describe, look at what you had at that time and say, that's everything. That's everything that somebody in their 20s would want. The fame, the friends, the relationships, the parties, this and the that. And at the time it does feed you and what have you. But what was the effect on your mental health of all of that and how you handled the fame? Because it's not normal to have that level of fame. It's not normal, right? Like, because most of us don't experience that in our 20s. Looking back now, having done a lot of the work that you've done on yourself, how would you describe its effect on your development and your mental health?
Sure. First off, I only kind of smiled while you were saying some of that and laughed to myself because I just pictured somebody, when you said everyone knew who you were, going, I don't know who he is. And I like that person. If you're listening, appreciate you. I mean, what a weird world to be in, right? The limelight, being on, first major TV show to become the biggest kid show in the world, which, by the way, when you're on a kid show, which I'm not sure people ever think this way, but it was a large part of my life, you're not just exposed to kids, you're exposed to the whole family. It is the largest audience you can ever have, and it's an audience that will continue to grow with you. So that's why a lot of child actors and kid stars become so well known, because they have such a long time to get there, and the whole family, whether they like it or not, is watching this programming. It's a strange thing to have all that happen. And I guess as it's gone from I started my teenage years into my 20s, of course there's the environment of you're invited to parties, and if you're interested in that, you can be exposed to any and all things. Some are good, some are bad. Ultimately it comes down to the person, how you're going to handle it. And I guess the best way I can explain that in simple terms is fame to me is very similar to money, alcohol, drugs. They're going to accentuate who you are. They're not going to make you a good person. They're not going to make you a bad person. But if you're an asshole, you get drunk, you're probably going to be a bigger asshole. And, same thing. If you're a giving person when you're poor, when you become wealthy, you're going to be more of a giving person if you have more opportunity to do it. Same thing with stingy, right? People go, hey, I'll give when I have money. No, you won't. Right. Because you're not doing it now. It's not going to change who you are. It's going to accentuate it. And I was lucky enough to have people around me that really guided me to not let it accentuate bad parts, not let it, become the defining factor of why I did these things, to go to the party, or why I did these things to be famous. First of all, being famous is the byproduct of being really good at something that people happen to see. Being famous is not a fucking job. Well, I guess it's a job to manage, I suppose, but it's not something to aspire to, I think, which if you're on social media or you want to be famous because you see someone else that is famous, how did they get there? They probably became really good at something. So if that's your goal, it's a weird goal. And also you're not going to get there by just wanting to be famous. So it's a weird thing that
No, I'm glad that you said that, because I think that you just spoke to a huge contingency of today's multiple generations, right? Because so many people are looking at, now we have the advent of the social media and people literally becoming famous just for having followers.
Yeah.
Filming themselves doing daily tasks, whatever, you know?
Daily tasks. That's actually a polite way to put some of it. Yeah.
It's the truth though. I mean, so yeah. And so, you know, I've seen a lot of documentaries, a lot of people talk about like where do you get once you get all the fame for doing whatever it is that you're doing? And then you got to figure out, you know, I mean, there's a lot to be handled there. So you put that so nicely in a box and tied it up with a bow, describing, you know, exactly like if you don't have a plan and you don't know how to deal with it, it's going to eat you up.
And look, especially when you're younger, it's okay to not necessarily have everything planned out, to be clear. Try things, see what interests you, like go play around, experiment with what interests you, but you got to also see things through. And so if you do get followers on social media for something you're doing, you know, whether that's your goal or not, that's great. Very few people will figure out a way to transcend those followers, that fan base, if you will, into, with respect, a real career. Because becoming famous overnight for doing a mundane task is probably not sustainable. But you build a brand, you become famous for something that you're genuinely interested in, right? Maybe it's cooking, maybe it's makeup tutorials. Like, I am not shitting on any of that. I think all of it is awesome because it gives people platforms to do things that they like. When it's authentic and you really like doing it, you get a fan base from it, hell yeah, power to you. But that is where, to your point, start thinking about a plan. Like, what's the business that you would be happy doing? Maybe not for the rest of your life, but for the foreseeable future. And from that fan base, if you're doing something you like anyways, how do you figure out a way to turn that into a business? To me, that's where social media is awesome. And that's where the influencers that are doing that are awesome. But just doing it for the sake of being famous, like, not only is there no income with that, that's not a job. And when you talk to anybody who's become famous, not being able to walk down the street without taking a photo isn't always the coolest thing. Sometimes you feel like shit. Sometimes you look like shit. You know, I do my best to always stop. I think a lot of people do and they try, but it's not the most attractive part of the job, for being honest. So
I never really thought about that because I don't like getting bad pictures taken of me. So like
when you've had 2 hours of sleep and you're getting on another flight, and the last thing you want, and then you get stopped and you got to take 20 photos, or you haven't slept the night before from a tour or something. Dude, again, I try and always say yes and try and always do it, but there's a lot of fucking bad photos out there of me. And it's a weird thing that you have to contend with. And so I just don't think that should be your aspiration.
Right.
If it's a byproduct of something you're doing, be gracious, be cool about it. But I'm telling you, like, that's something to manage. That shouldn't be what you're aspiring towards.
Yeah, that's good advice. You absolutely answered my question, which was basically, what would you, and I don't know if you have anything to add to this, but, you know, what advice do you have for young creatives or young celebrities that are, you know, rising up right now, that are kind of in your shoes at that age that you were then?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would add to that is keep having fun with it. Like, when it's not fun, you do have time to pivot. You got time to do something else, so do something else. Yeah. But if you're having fun with it, keep at it, keep enjoying it, and don't let the pressure of how many followers, how successful, get to you. I don't know if you read much or if anybody listening, you know, I love motivational content and books and people, and so many of the most successful salesmen and businessmen, financial advisors will, tell you that their first 3, 4, 5 companies didn't work, but you learn from them. It's through those failures that you learn. So don't let the pressure of not being there yet deter you from getting there. Just keep going.
That's good. When you were in your 20s, talking about this period, the pressure, I mean, inevitably gets to everybody at some point. Was there any period that you think of that were like big life circumstances that were like dark times, or periods where you struggled because of the pressure of fame and being in the spotlight?
I mean, sure. Everybody, and I think that's something also to realize, is everybody has problems. Life is fun and great, and we try and focus on the positives, and we should, but it's also tough, regardless of circumstance, regardless where you come from. So I try never to assume, and I try never to judge in that regard. But I will say on the flip side, people are very quick to judge me, you, and anybody that, has some sort of limelight, if you will. and I get what I look like from the outside. I'm aware of the way in which I speak, and it's very easy for people to kind of assume, you know, his life must be perfect, must have had a great, you know, childhood and all of these things. And, you know, I focus on the positives of it again. I did have a great childhood, but I've had to overcome quite a few moments to become where I am and who I am. You know, from being bullied incessantly as a kid. I was a little bit chubby as a kid. And
you too?
That, I mean, weren't we all? But not everybody was. But, you know, if it weren't for that bullying, just as an example, weren't for being made fun of, getting picked on, even people trying to start fights with me for so long, there's no way I'd be on the cover of Fitness RX, Men's Health Mexico. I plan on doing another one soon. I'm actually getting to continue to grow and learn and train, and like, I can't wait to do the next one. It's even better than the last two. I think I would have just kind of continued on. And so sometimes the adversity, the negativity, the bullying, the shit we go through is defining in who we become. And it doesn't have to be bad. Yes, bullying's bad. Yes, abusive parents are bad. However, life is fucking tough. It's not always great. And so sometimes you got to reframe these experiences. And I have had all of those things that I just spoke about. You know, I had the courts take away my mother from my brother and I when we were younger because of a lot of this stuff.
How old were you?
I was 10 years old.
Wow.
Well, actually, I was about 12. I was 10. And then I had to see her with court supervised visitations. I've never spoken about this. I'm not afraid to. It's just, again, I've never wanted to speak about things that I feel like I'm eliciting sympathy from. But I'm saying it because it's a truly dark and difficult thing I had to experience as a young man, that I remember eventually my dad got full custody. I remember thinking, stereotypically, I'm supposed to turn out bad. With one parent, with the abuse and all the crazy stuff. Stereotypically, I'm supposed to be mean to women because that's how my, relationship with the closest woman in my life was. All these things. I remember like looking it up and being told by therapists and being told even, and I just went, no, I'm not going to be that. I'm going to be a gentleman. I'm going to be hardworking. I'm going to become who I want to be, despite these stereotypes and despite the odds. And I remember thinking about that as a young kid without fully recognizing how powerful that was. And the older I've got, the more aware I've become, the more I double down on this train of thought, which is we become the people that we want to become, despite circumstances. Hell, I think it was in spite of my circumstances for a while. I had a big old chip on my shoulder for many years, but I recognized that, and then I shifted it over a lot of work to be despite. So that's one. As a young man, I got a lot. I think everybody does. And I think, again, it comes back to how do you frame the situation negatively? Then you're going to live in misery for the rest of your life.
Right. I love that you brought that up. I think that in every aspect, we talk so much on the show about overcoming adversity, and we always have a fork in the road, right? Like we can either choose to let our circumstance define us in a negative way, or take it as something that propels us to choosing something that's going to use it for the better. I certainly don't think sharing what you did about your mom is selfish or like eliciting sympathy or whatnot. If anything, I think so many people, especially hopefully listening or watching right now, can identify with the same thing. Losing one or both parents. We live in a country where that's so much of that goes on. I'm curious what, do you remember, because you talked a little bit about your internalization of what you were going to let that do to you, what you were supposed to become because of this narrative. But I'm curious about what you remember your emotional place was when that happened. Did you ask yourself, why is this happening? What does this mean about my mom? What does this mean about my relationship with her? How did it affect your relationship with women from there at that point?
Look, I think that I was so young when this happened that I recall distinctly recognizing I'm not going to be this stereotype. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to be bad with women, mean with. I remember thinking that specifically at a young age. But I don't think that I was capable to fully understand all the ways in which it was going to impact me. And I think that has been a journey. I know that has been a journey that I've been on for many years. And it, that experience manifested itself and showed itself in other parts of my life years later, where I realized, like, dude, I'd play sports and I would get so angry when I lost. I was just not a good sport. And at the time, if you told me that might be because of your, parental problems, I would have been like, fuck you. I don't want to deal with that. Yeah. But of course it was, right? As now you get older and go to therapy and talk about this and grow and build my emotional intelligence, which I've been active and continue to be so. Of course it was. And
was that the first area where you noticed emotional dysregulation occurring that you felt was unhinged and you didn't know how to deal with it?
Yes, sports, definitely. So it was the first time that I was able to actually take out aggression.
Right.
And my dad put me to martial arts as a very young man because of that. That I will still attribute to be the largest, perhaps, if not one of, motivators and reasons that I have and value discipline in my life.
Yeah.
I was forced to sit in Cesar. I was forced to be around people so much better, so much wiser than me, to learn at a very slow pace. I don't know how to explain it, but I've been through it. It was so difficult as a young man to learn that type of discipline, to learn that type of patience, but it very much shaped the man that I am today. And there's some things that I went through in martial arts with my sensei, Shannon Phelps. He was Navy SEAL and then became an Episcopal priest to balance out his life. The stories I would hear, the discipline this man had. Never spoken about him ever again. This is a great podcast, ever before. But small things I'll just never forget. Sometimes we'd go in there and as a kid, it's like, I want to roll around and grapple and hit things. And sometimes he'd see that and I know it was intentional. And I'd get pissed internally at the time. And now I value it so much. And I'd sit in Seiza, which is your feet underneath you. It's not comfortable for 2 or 3 hours. And that was the entire class. And it's like, that may sound crazy.
My anxiety just is spiked from thinking about doing that for 3 hours.
You know what? It's kind of like, if you do ice baths or whatnot. I just got one at my house. I do it on tour and I'm getting into it more often. So it's an ice bath or whereas having a really hard workout first thing in the morning. The mentality there is doing something that sucks so much that nothing's going to suck as bad the rest of your day. The rest of your day is only going to be better because of it. And I had enough of that as a young man where it's like, dude, I can appreciate so much in my life today because a lot of it just fucking was tough and sucked then. And it's weird, man, as a kid, you just want to be mad at the world for things like that. But if you can, embrace some of the pain, embrace some of the hard work. Keep it in your life as you get older. Don't make a couple bucks and just get fat and happy and be like, I've made it. No, you're gonna go backwards. Keep challenging yourself. Keep the suck in a little bit of your day to balance the rest of your life out. It's like, to me, I love that aspect. I'm so grateful, again, for these experiences. Even though they weren't all necessarily fun, they were positive in shaping me. And
sure. You know what I compare that to? I'm such a sucker for a great metaphor, but for me, I'm a recovering alcoholic, and it's important that when I think about alcohol, drinking alcohol comes back as a thought, like, what if, drinking again. And I always try and stay grateful that when I think about the prospect of drinking alcohol, my mental recollection is of the bad times close to right before I got sober, because I want to remember how bad it was.
Yeah.
That in and of itself helps me to stay healthy and choose to continue propelling my life in a positive direction. And I think that that's what you're saying. The things that were negative in our life, if we continue to hold those close, they're that catalyst to greatness.
Yeah.
And continue becoming better. So talking about a catalyst, you have been open about your journey towards mental well-being and an advocate for mental health, which is very admirable to use your platform for that. And I'm really curious, though, to understand what Was there a pivotal moment where you decided to start seeking your own mental health journey and to start that, or was it like a slow burn? What was the story there? This podcast is brought to you by Promises Behavioral Health. If you or a loved one are struggling with trauma, addiction, or mental health, we are ready to answer your questions and help you take that next step. Call our admissions center at 888-648-4098 or visit us online at www.promises.com. Our team is ready and waiting to answer the call for help.
I've had moments in and out of going, hey, life's a little stressful right now. Let me go find a therapist and try and talk to them. Got to be honest, more often than not, I will meet somebody, who's a qualified therapist and they're not right for me. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, maybe they just have absolutely zero relation to the world in which I've been in, which is weird and unique,
right,
and wonderful. But if you're not in entertainment, it's hard for you to understand, give advice on that perhaps. Or if you're not as well read, maybe, there's going to be a judgment there, like this isn't the guy for me or the girl for me. But when I've found people in the past, I feel this sense of peace. And so the more often I've sought it out, the more frequently I want it in my life. But one other thing that I will say, at least that works for me, is just seeking professional help to talk to me would never be enough. Having conversations like this with friends, even strangers, and just being open is so cathartic and so important. So the more I've done that with my own friends, especially my male friends, my buddies, the more I value how awesome it is. And one cool thing about my generation and younger generations is that we are valuing this emotional intelligence, as I've referred to it before. And we are talking more, and whether it's professional or not, I think just sharing and talking is important. I know a lot of older guys, especially, and even guys our age, were brought up in a way where it's like, be tough.
Yeah.
Yes, be tough. There's a lot of reasons to be tough. A lot of reasons to be strong, physically, mentally as a man, a lot of reasons to be the protector for your family, all about that. But talking about your emotions is not soft. And I think that's what I want to shift. The toughest people I know, the toughest warriors, are the sweetest and come across as the softest, and they're the most open and emotionally available. And I think that there's synergy there that is beautiful. And that's how you find real balance.
Absolutely. And you put that so well. That's not something that's naturally, I don't feel like that's something that you grew up believing, right? Like what was was there someone that modeled that for you? Or was there an experience that, you had where you started to, because again, it's not super normal for, that's against the grain of what the macho man, what we're taught in society.
Yeah. Well, now the macho man is getting turned into something that it shouldn't be,
right?
Where it's macho's not good, and I wholeheartedly disagree. Let's just redefine, or clarify, not redefine. We need to stop making words into words they're not. Let's clarify that macho is emotionally available. The coolest, here's a good example. The biggest guys in the gym are going to be the most forthcoming and open with how to work out. They've spent so long learning how to lift weights correctly, body build, eat, nutrition. I promise you, don't be afraid of those guys. If you want to learn something, go and ask them. They will talk your ear off. And that's, kind of what I'm getting at here. But look, I think we become whoever we are by our surroundings, by looking at our family, think first as young people, and then who we surround ourselves with, which again is why it's so important who you spend a lot of time with. And I have looked at my family, and there is some mental health in my family, and without naming things specifically, so I don't know who would be comfortable with me being specific. I feel like I'll have to have that conversation first before I talk about it publicly. But I've seen things that don't work. I can say this from a financial perspective too. I have seen a lot of things in my family with even some of the smartest members where it's you just haven't figured out any business acumen. You're brilliant. You can retain an entire book after reading it, but somehow you can't save money, right?
Yeah.
And with mental health especially, I've seen how my family would act and react And nobody was changing it. And that's the definition of insanity. They'd expect things to be better. They keep doing the same thing. They'd find no other result. And so I just wanted something different for myself. And that's why I started seeking counsel from other people.
Yeah.
Well, I call them mentors, but
you bring that up, and I love talking about family dynamics, family trauma, the puzzle piece, all those things. And it is a cycle of, I mean, we are all like just part of human nature. Most people aren't part of a full healthfully functioning family. We've all got our own parts we play into some dysfunction. And I always think it's interesting to ask, like, how, when you start a journey to become more healthy, when you go back into that family unit, how do you navigate? How have you navigated? Because the family members expect you to continue being the shape of your original puzzle piece, but you're no longer responding and behaving that way because you've found healthier coping skills. You're not responding and reacting like you were talking about, right? Like and so has any of that played out? Again, not asking you to speak to necessarily someone else, but like for you, how have your relationships changed with how you show up in your family, your personal life, also maybe in your professional life since you started this journey we're talking about?
Well, on the one hand, I've broken the mold since I was a kid. So there's maybe a little less judgment because I've just done what I want to do. And of course, there, so much judgment when I was younger, but as I started working, there's only so much judgment people can have. And maybe that makes it a little bit easier for me because I just don't give a shit. And a lot of my circle has been coming to me, whether it's for financial help or advice, for a long time. Having said that, I can completely understand and empathize with people that are afraid to change because there is this kind of set imagery that their friends and family more specifically have of them. So if your routine is you go home and for dinners, it's you all take shots and get drunk and you want to change that, and all of a sudden you're ousted and you don't want to be, the black sheep. Like, I get it. And maybe it's not even an alcohol-based thing. It's just you want to go to bed earlier because you want to get up early. Your routine is shifted. You want to read more instead of what? I get it can be tough, but I will say, nobody successful is ever going to look at you and be like, no, you shouldn't have these healthy habits. Like, I promise you that much.
Yep.
And if your family's going to be judgmental at the time, just stick with it, because I will bet you eventually they're going to come around and have an admiration for it. A lot of people judge because of what's going on in their lives. A lot of people judge somebody breaking the mold because they were afraid to do it. And so they're letting this fear of themselves judge you for doing it because they don't want you to, potentially have success because it was too scary for them. And so they're going to, reflect and express this in a negative way. And I bet you do it for long enough, they're going to come around and be like, man, good on you. Hey, do you mind helping me out? Can I have some advice? It's just, you got to be willing to go through that process before it works, to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
And ultimately do what is best and healthiest for you. Family's tough because you can't necessarily just separate yourself from them all the time, but you can set boundaries.
Yeah.
Set those fucking boundaries. Don't engage. They want to engage, walk away. It's tumultuous. If you're staying there, get a hotel. If you can't afford it, don't go. There's just you have a choice in every one of these things. Don't convince yourself that you don't. Convince yourself that you do and figure it out.
That's really good. Boundaries. We all can take a lesson, take a step in a better direction where that's concerned. You mentioned one of my favorite words to talk about, because we all have it. We all have to deal with it. Can't ignore it. It's part of life. Fear. What are some major ways that you've had to walk through obstacles of fear, whether it's in relationships, your professional life, breaking a mold you didn't think you could break?
Besides becoming an actor and musician for a living?
Sure.
Yeah.
Or anything specific to that.
No, in all sincerity, it's scary to do anything where statistically you're not going to make it. Right? But my argument to that is think about like the top percentile of any field. If you're reaching to be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, or you're reaching to be the best doctor in the world, you're reaching whatever your career is, statistically, it's probably pretty tough.
Yeah.
How are you going to get there? Same way you're going to get there in anything you do. Tenacity, commitment, continued education, continued work ethic. And that's what allowed me to not be so fearful of choosing my career path, but also the reminder that fear can be a powerful motivator. Fear is energy. It might appear to be negative at first because it's scary, because that's literally kind of part of the definition of it. But the more you walk through that door of fear, whether you fail or succeed, you have done something different. That should give you encouragement and motivation to continue to go. Because if you fail, you're learning something, right? If you fail and you don't learn something, you're an idiot. Don't do that. Don't be afraid to fail, but then realize, like, how did you get there? If you're failing, you're learning. Eventually, you're not going to fail. And to me, that's exciting. So trying to reform, again, how fear limits you versus how fear can actually motivate you, I think is a cool practice for all of us. If you're not doing something that's scary to you, I guarantee you are not tapping into your potential. So if your life is not ever at all in any way scary, if you're content, you're content. There's no judgment here. But if you're not, and so many people aren't, so many people are not happy with where they're at, pick something that is a little scary. Pick something that somebody told you can't do, but you've always wanted to.
Yep.
Go and play in that world. Go and fail a couple times. You're going to figure some cool shit out.
Yeah. I always heard a phrase that I love is, if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you.
Love that.
And God, I think that like every time I hear about like the idea of being comfortable when it comes to like just comfort in life, it sounds like that shouldn't be until we're ready to be retired.
Yeah. And even then, I feel like you retire young, you're going to die young.
Yeah.
So I really believe that, don't get me wrong. Like my lifestyle is already more comfortable than it used to be.
Sure.
I don't need to have multiple roommates to figure things out anymore. I can have my own space, my own house now. But the idea of just like waking up late and playing golf all day, like, dude, it's not even interesting to me at this point in my life. And I have a lot of friends who've made a lot of money. Some of them retire early and they're like out of shape. They're not that happy. The ones that keep going are the ones who have a purpose. They're the happiest ones. The ones with a full schedule that don't need to have a full schedule, by the way. Yeah. They really are the happiest ones. That's what I strive to be. It's like my job is going to change over time. I always want to be in entertainment as my primary job. But it's already shifted where now like I'm developing shows.
Yeah.
When I was like just starting out, like, dude, I would take any job I could freaking get as an actor.
Sure.
And now I have the luxury of like, I'm still in it and my schedule is more packed now than it was when I was younger, but it shifted. So yeah, just keep going. Try and fill your life doing things that you enjoy. And the more time you spend doing them, the better you're going to get at them. And eventually somebody's going to pay you to do that.
Heck yeah. Well, it's talking about somebody paying you to do things you enjoy. That first big thing that you, that we all know you for in Big Time Rush, I think a question that a lot of people would be curious of. There's so much footage of you and the band members and your relationship on screen and on stage, and you seem to have such a great rapport. I'm curious what your relationship and dynamic is off stage. What are you guys like? How do you approach problem solving?
That's something we are continuously figuring out, for being honest. I mean, the boys and I love each other. Like, that's pretty obvious. And we get along maybe better than most bands, boy bands that have existed. A testament to us being back together and staying together. It doesn't mean we were without differences and problems. In fact, the four of us are extremely different people. We think differently. We like different songs. Our creative processes are different. There's so much that is not just obvious when it comes to the especially the music and art creation process of it. And then when it comes to the business side of it, several of us have very different experiences in business, especially over the 8 years we took off. But that's okay. We try and continue to respect each other, first off, learn from each other, and delegate. Hey, if somebody's really passionate about something, we got so much to do. Take lead on it. You want to be really focused. You're nitpicking, the Christmas merch line we're going to do. Bro, take it off my plate. Go run with it. We'll all get together and approve and make sure it's cool. But, it's getting to a place where people are less precious about every little thing, which is super important when you're running a business and have a lot of different arms of that business.
I think it's super important as we move through life to realize what's really important to be nitpicky on and what's not.
Yeah.
The older I get, the more I realize like micromanaging everything in my life can either be a stumbling block or...
Oh, it can eat you alive.
Yeah.
You gotta... I think we don't know if you're talking before this about being a finisher when it comes to songwriting. Like, I'm a finisher. I want to go in a session. I want to leave with a song. Doesn't mean it has to be the best song in the world, but some people aren't finishers. Some people are creatives and they're totally okay with going in, vibing for 8 hours, coming up with like a hook and then changing to another song and leaving and not having something tangible. Fuck that. That's not how I work. Same thing when it comes to business and running things. It's like, dude, life is short. Come up with the best version. Cool. Pull the trigger. Let's analyze it afterwards. If that didn't work, all right, let's be smart. Let's not do the same thing again. Yeah. But dicking around and trying to perfect everything in art that is by definition imperfect, to me, it's just insane. So I try and encourage everybody. Sometimes you're just like, hey, let's agree. Let's make sure you're on the same page. All right, best we can do for now, but like, let's move on. Let's improve it next time. But if we get fixated on the little details, we'll never keep this thing moving. So I find myself being more of an executive producer when it comes to a lot of the different businesses I have. Creating a show, I just had a Zoom today. I don't want to name names yet if it doesn't come out, but with a hell of a creator. She is a brilliant writer, brilliant creator that we're now forming a partnership to do a movie. And it's the type of thing, it's like, could I go there and sit and write a movie? I've done enough of them. I've been a part of enough of them. Like, sure, but that's not a skill that I've spent the time to develop. So I'm not the best at it right now. And frankly, it's just nothing that I don't want to spend the time at this point in my life to be the best writer. I want to be the best actor, best musician. I want to be the best businessman. Like, these are interesting to me. Yeah. So if I can hire her, work with her, that's going to make this project the best. And so, yeah, man, look, I think the guys all get this to different degrees. And so this is why it's fun. And again, we start with respect, start with love. And some of the other guys are moving to Nashville too. One of my boys, I don't want to... Again, I just don't know who's precious about announcing things, but it looks like some of the other band members are going to be coming out here as well, which is so exciting because I would way rather base our operations here than have to fly to LA all the time.
I love how many actors, but especially musicians that aren't specifically in country music, that are moving or flocking to Nashville.
Nashville's so much bigger than country music now.
Yeah.
I bet there's as much pop here as there's in LA.
Yeah, I love pop music.
Probably more soon, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, congratulations on that. I don't know if it's too soon to say, but like that potential project. Hope that comes about for you.
Thanks, man. Yeah, we're one of quite a few. So maybe the next time we talk together, I'll be able to say things with more detail.
Absolutely. A follow-up question to that. I'm curious what you think about why, because there's so many bands, not just boy bands, but so many bands take a break. I mean, you took almost a decade of a break.
About 8 years.
And I mean, while you were one of the biggest, right? Like huge before your break. What do you think it was that made it possible for you to successfully come back after that period of time?
The fans.
Yeah.
100%. The fans still care and gave us the opportunity to come back and put on a hell of a show and put out music again. And our job has been, continues to be to over-deliver. And that's why we have a sustainable business, because the fans came back in droves, gave us a shot. We showed up. We said, dude, we have this opportunity. Let's make it bigger and better. We've ever done it. We spent more money on production on our last tour than any tour we've ever done. And I don't regret a dollar of it because it was the best show we've ever done. But man, I mean, the fans could not have cared and said, no, it's too long. And it starts and ends with fans allowing us to do this. So can't be more grateful for that. And of course, and then it comes into wanting to be there and put in the work. And that's where, you know, the guys and I guys are different in a lot of ways. One thing we share is like, they show up for shows. They show up to give it their all. And we have more fun on stage together, I think, than probably any other band out there. There's nothing but love when we're up there because that's our fucking happy place.
Yeah. It's a big time rush. Oh my gosh, I can't believe
Yeah, in many ways. In many ways it is, my friend. Yeah.
I'm sure I was the first person to ever make that joke.
Very original. Very original.
Yeah.
I'm just glad you're enjoying it so much.
I'm full of dad jokes.
I'm enjoying it too. Just not as much as you.
Okay. Well, good. Well, so you shared some of your insights into the creative process about songwriting. I'm curious though, what for you is really important around preparing for performance when you're preparing to be on screen, on stage. What do you focus on, and how do you get yourself to where you need to be?
Screen and stage are very different for me. We'll do stage quickly first. Remaining prepared every single night. So when you're on tour for 30, 40, 50 shows in a row, it gets easy to be like, oh, I'll come into the dressing room later. I'm going to take a nap today. Even though I know my voice may be a little more tired, I just, you know, I deserve it. It's been a long tour and you're bloody tired. I don't cut into, we have something called lockdown. And most of us, me in particular, I don't skip lockdown. Most of the guys don't. That means an hour before the show, no friends, no family in the dressing room. I start vocal warm-ups, physical warm-ups, and I start visualizing the show. And we have fun with it. It's not like militant, but if I don't do that, if I come even 15 minutes late, all of a sudden I'm stressed. Dude, I don't feel warm. I'm about to pull backflip on song 1. Am I going to pull something? And now in my head, and it's our duty to put on the best show every night because for most of the audience, that's their only show. Mm-hmm. Not just of us. It might be their only show they've saved up, can afford that freaking year.
Yeah.
So it better be good. And I'm not going to phone it in ever. So it's that continuous preparation discipline that no matter how tired I am, to make sure I give myself the tools, which is that hour, which is the warm up, which is whatever I need from tea to stretching to, give you a long list of boring shit, to get ready for the show and to remain focused and excited to give the best one ever. And
yeah.
I mean, in some ways it's the same on camera and on screen because sometimes you're on set and you're waiting around for hours and hours and hours and you're just like, it may seem easy because you really don't have a whole lot to do. It's that hurry up and wait thing. If you're not directing or producing and you're just acting, then you are just literally sitting there waiting for hours for lighting, for company moves and all that stuff. You better show up. And basic rule of acting, if I can throw this out there for anybody who may not know this, know your fucking lines. There's not an excuse not to know your fucking lines. Considering what I just told you, you've got even if you didn't learn your fucking lines the night before, like a good actor, you've got so many hours on set doing nothing. Learn your fucking lines. Dude, the amount of times I've been on set with big names too that just phone it in, it stresses me out too much. If some people can do it, maybe you're better than I am and you're brilliant and you look at the page and be fucking fantastic. I can't. Stresses me out because I'm thinking about shit, what's my line versus thinking about what the character should be doing. How that character would be feeling, and then finding something potentially magic when the lines are just there. So preparation, remaining excited, and putting yourself in a position to succeed, I think is just the most important for both worlds.
That's some good advice for even those of us who aren't acting, whatever.
I feel like know your fucking lines actually applies to like pretty much any business.
Yeah.
Show up prepared.
Sure. What's the narrative?
Yeah.
If you don't, I heard the saying once, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And I don't know if it seems like it totally relates to this or not, but it's like knowing what, do you really know what are you talking about? Like, do you know what you're going to talk about?
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite ones is success comes when preparation meets opportunity. So stop expecting to be successful if you're not preparing. The opportunity will come. Some people get more than others. Everybody gets some. When it comes, if you're unprepared, you're not going to get it. Probably not. Don't count on luck. But if you're, preparation, that's there. That opportunity comes, boom, you're set, you're ready. If you don't get it this time, you will get it next time. Like to me, that gets exciting when you put it into terms that like are just a little easier to understand. You don't have to kill yourself. Just like be prepared.
Yeah.
Know what you're saying in the meeting. Know what you're there for.
Oh, that's a really good advice. I have like a list of really great life quotes, and that's one of them I'm going to add to it. It's so good.
Well, it wasn't mine. My old manager used to say it, and he took it from someone else. So
those are the best ones that nobody can say. Nobody knows where it actually originated
I'm sure
from.
if you Googled it, somebody's going to have taken credit somewhere.
Right.
But like, to me, it's such a simple concept.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people have said it in different ways. It's a pretty simple concept, but I'll give Billy Huffsey, my old manager, credit. He's the one instilled in it. He also said, and I love this one, do your job, shut the fuck up, and go home. And that's what I got as a young actor. So it was great advice.
I was going to make a joke. So he was clearly from the South.
Was that a Southern accent?
No. It was a joke because you were doing pretty strong.
He was like, look, he'd wear like pinstripe suits. He was a big guy. How do you explain Billy? He's a fucking goopa. He's I don't know the best way.
I can literally envision. Billy is standing.
He was like my
now.
uncle growing up. I still love that man. He was part Indian, and he was a Golden Glove boxer. So like literally a scary beast of a man, but the sweetest guy ever. And just like, he lived in his world. He was a caricature of a person, but some of his nuggets of advice are why I did my job, didn't go out and really party and screw it up too much, didn't try and become best friends with everyone. I did it, left, and like there's something powerful about that.
Yeah. Well, so, we talked about how like friends and how they've changed for you and your ideals and things as you've matured from, 20s to 30s, right? And talking about when success comes, doing the right thing with it, this narrative that we're weaving in of what does maintaining mental health look like. I think the pinnacles is maintaining a healthy work-life balance, which has got to be even harder as someone as heavily in the public eye as you are. How do you navigate that today with trying to, again, have healthy relationships with people in your life?
Well, we kind of spoke about this. Shifting the actual environment you put yourself in. Powerful, very powerful. And what I mean by that is now when I meet somebody to go out in my 20s, like, yo, let's meet for a drink. Totally normal thing to say, totally casual, totally okay for some people. And for me, for years of my life, it was. But now it's like, I don't really want to go out. Not that I won't have a good tequila on the rocks once in a while. I want it less and less in my life, if I'm being honest. And what I really don't want is meeting for drinks at 9 or 10, and then 2 turns into 4, and at that point I'm an idiot, so it turns into 8 or whatever, and it's like, then I feel like shit the next day. So I've changed the environment where I meet for a workout, or I meet for coffee, meet for lunch. The quality of conversation, the work that actually gets done, the people I find myself surrounded by, all better. So that's a very important one. And look, I'm big into fitness. I talk about it a lot, but part of the reason is that there is a direct correlation between your physical health and your mental health.
Amen to that.
If you're not exercising and you're having, you feel like your mental health could be improved, add it in, and I promise you, it's gonna help. In fact, I don't know how people can manage emotional stress if they don't put their bodies through physical stress.
Yeah.
There's something really awesome that happens when you crush, again, really tough workout where the thing that used to bug you all the time or the stupid crap you got to deal with in your day just doesn't seem as hard, because it probably isn't.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Well, and I think you hit on something that perspective, because you were saying if you think that you maybe take a chance on it if you think that your mental health or emotional health could be affected positively by doing more exercise. Well, the thing is, I personally believe that there's a lack of perspective for some people. Sometimes I've been in and out of healthy periods of my life before, and previous to getting, becoming an avid exerciser. I think my lack of awareness put me in a place where I had no idea that it was affecting the potential for my mental health to be at such a different place. So I love that you're talking about that, because I think it's something that you don't even know until you start putting one foot in front of the other.
Literally in this case.
Yeah. The potential that you can unlock, not just in your body, but in your brain. And in many ways, more importantly in your brain, because the healthier your brain is, the more potential you have to drive yourself to do more.
I think it comes down to like believe in yourself and respect yourself.
Yeah.
You're capable of doing so much more than you're doing right now. All of us are.
Yeah.
Like what your capacity is mentally and physically. Yeah, exercise can be tough, especially when you're starting out. But so much of that is mental. So you can go so much further than you think you can. And the only way to figure that out is to do it. And it sucks sometimes, but then it sucks a little less the next time you go a little further. And that's where it gets exciting, gets cool, and you'll start to draw those direct correlations. But
what do you do when you hit, because I mean, I know for me, there are periods where it's like, oh, this is hard. I love breaking through this. But there's parts for all of us when we hit a really tough wall, physically in a workout or even mentally. Like when you get to one that's like, God, this is so tough. Like what do you use to cope and like, or drive you to break through a wall?
I will legitimately talk to myself. I have no problem with it. You know, I'll pull out a David Goggins reference if I need to, you know, and just be like, all right, little bitch, we're going to get through this. This isn't me. This isn't me. It's the little bitch inside of me. That works for me. Yeah. That may not be the right mentality for everybody, right? And it's not always a Goggins reference, although they're fun for me. Whatever it takes. Yeah, it's just the belief, like I had a really tough, I'm doing a 75 hard right now.
No.
I'm doing my version of it. So I'm not doing outdoor workouts every day, although I did have a nice kettlebell snow backyard workout the other day. And you know, I hadn't hit squats in like 2 weeks because of the move. Just didn't line up where I had a good enough gym, and I kind of made the excuse and whatever. So I finally had a good day on Saturday or Sunday where I was, do you know when you train a lot, you don't usually get immediately sore. You'll get sore maybe a day or two later.
2 is my sweet spot, and it's the worst.
But when you train, especially if somebody trains a lot, and you are sore mid fucking workout, you're fucked. Yeah. Like you know it's gonna be a bad one.
Yeah.
And that was me. And then I started to do my cardio, which is just like a 30-minute incline walk. And I had just depleted all of my energy for that. And so I was physically getting to the point where I'm passing out. I didn't pass out, but I could feel my body just draining. And look, ideally, if it was like a marathon runner, if I was training, I would have had some sugar or something with me, and I didn't. But I had water, and I had some handlebars I could hold on to so I didn't fall, and I had my own stupid little comedic voice to talk me through it. And I was just like, fuck it. I made the commitment to do this. I'm like 13 minutes in, like what the fuck? And you just take it step by step. So if I looked at the clock, I'm like, fuck it, I can get to 14 minutes. I'd do it, and I go through and like, whew, all right. Fuck it, let's get to 15. Yeah. And I just do that, just baby steps. I know I'm going all the way, but there's always that thought that comes back like, you've done enough. Why do you need to do this? Who are you trying to impress? And it's like, nobody. I just committed to doing it. And my word this year is commitment. And it's specifically commitment to myself. So it's back to respecting yourself, back to like, look, don't push through certain pains. Don't be an idiot. We all know when there's a time to stop. That wasn't a time for me to stop. I've been through worse. I've been through harder. I was tired. I had no glycogen in my system. I was depleted, but I'm walking on a treadmill indoors. What's the worst that's going to happen? Holding on to the handrails. And so again, I think it's just a reminder we can go further than we think we can. Yeah. Commit to yourself, push yourself within reasonable and healthy boundaries to find out, because you owe it to yourself. And it's not just physical. It's also in work and aspirations and mentality and friendship. You deserve everything you believe you deserve. Yeah. So commit to yourself.
Wait, can you say that again?
You deserve everything you believe you deserve. Oh, which also means if you believe you deserve to be fucking miserable, you deserve it. But if you believe you deserve a fucking fantastic life and you're not quite there, hell yeah. Keep believing it. Keep working towards it.
Man, that hits deep. Gosh, You've had some really great
some nuggets.
Yes.
Few nuggets today.
Man, this has been really inspirational for me. I'm so grateful. And I'm sure that our audiences felt the same thing. So grateful that you've come on today.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man. It's been fun.
Great. I'm glad to know that I always love to know that our guests have had a good experience. But before we wrap things up, I want to say, you know, I'm excited. I feel like you're excited to be here in Nashville. I know that your fans are excited to watch this next chapter, whatever number we want to call it, in your life. Is there anything that you can share with us about what is coming up for you?
I'll check the date on this, but we're finally announcing a European tour.
Sweet.
So Big Time Rush, going to Europe. Very excited about that. Shortly after, we're going to be announcing a few more dates and other things that are going to come secondary, but we've been wanting to go more international. We've been lucky enough to hit the States a couple times and go to Mexico and South America. So now we're going further. We want to go all over, so it'll be coming next, but that's a really exciting thing. And I've been developing projects. So I have a couple of scripted series that I'm very passionate about. We have some incredible attachments already. I've got a couple of unscripted things, maybe not in the world you're thinking, but one of which we're out to a couple of big companies right now. You know, I hate saying things like this, like it's not official, it's not done. There's not a whole lot of context and information I can give. But I've been developing both film and TV projects that I'm passionate about, that I want to act in, that I want to create for years, and several of them are coming to fruition. So yeah, that's what I'm working on besides writing more music for Big Time Rush, for other artists. Maybe I'll do some music of my own again at some point. I've just been in such a creative place, and moving to Nashville has just added so much fuel to that fire. I'm ecstatic, and I want to absorb it all and see what I can come up with. So.
Oh yeah. Well, and to take from your own words, it definitely sounds like you are somebody that has sincerely prepared for all of these scenarios, for your hard work to come to fruition. So when success does come, you're going to be prepared to handle it appropriately. So I'm looking forward to hearing and watching what comes out over the next year and cheering you on. Yeah.
Well, it's been fun. Really been one of the cooler conversations I've had in a while. So thank you for having me.
That's an honor. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for being here. Any last words before we close?
We've said a lot of words.
Yeah, we have.
I feel like they're sick of hearing these words. Thanks, guys. Love y'all.
Yeah.
More stuff coming soon.
Good stuff. All right. I'm going to close out with, it is never too late to start loving yourself, and you're always only one decision away from a completely different life. This podcast is brought to you by Promises Behavioral Health. If you or a loved one are struggling with trauma, addiction, or mental health, we are ready to answer your questions and help you take that next step. Call our admission center at 888-648-4098 or visit us online at www.promises.com. Our team is ready and waiting to answer the call for help.